Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Warriors. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Draymond Green gets honest about Jonathan Kuminga's future. Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga was put in a very unique situation at the end of his 2024-25 campaign. At the end of the regular season and into the playoffs, there was a 7-game stretch where Kuminga was a DNP coach's decision 5 times, and his future in Golden State was as cloudy as ever. Then, in the second round of the playoffs, superstar point guard Steph Curry went down with an injury, and the Warriors turned to Kuminga as an offensive spark off the bench. In games 2 through 5 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kuminga averaged 24.3 points and 3.5 rebounds with 55.4, 38.9 to 72.0 shooting splits in the second unit. Just when Kuminga's value was down the drain, he took this opportunity in the playoffs to prove how valuable he can truly be. Kuminga is now entering restricted free agency, and the Warriors have to decide whether they want to pay him to keep him around or let him walk. Warriors star Draymond Green got honest about Kuminga's future, saying he will thrive regardless of what happens in free agency. "We're going to have to evaluate Jonathan Kuminga," Green said. "We all know his talent, we all know what we all believe he can be, but now you have to make a huge financial commitment. One thing's for certain, whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get paid and he's going to have a very bright future." Kuminga, 22, has shown many glimpses of stardom and still has plenty of room to grow, and he might be better off going to a franchise that can play through his growing pains. Of course, Kuminga was benched for a reason, but if the Warriors feel like they would get that playoff version of him all the time, they could decide to bring him back. Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
.com. And he had very interesting insights into the plans the 76ers have for the draft. Remember, they got in the lottery the 3rd pick. I can already see your face. This is what Gavoni wrote. He wrote, "Some teams expect the Sixers to be active in trade conversations with names such as Kevin Durant and Lauri Markkanen as potential targets in packages that could include Paul George and the number 3 pick." Marcus, why did you react that way when we began this?
Because I'm just tired of the Sixers just trying to do so much, right? Like, you've already been switch guys out in and out. You just had James Harden. Now you got Paul George. Like, are you going to bring Kevin Durant here and it doesn't work? Now, what happens is that don't work. Like,
right.
Now, what's the conversation? Like, let's get a healthy Embiid. Let's focus on that first before we talk about going to get a guy like Kevin Durant. And you've seen what happened in Phoenix. I'm not sure if that's a better situation.
Giving up the 3 pick when Joel Embiid has got really not much left, not much tread left on the tire. It's clear, right? Getting him healthy and keeping him healthy is a challenge at this point. They are stuck with that contract. You're not moving it, but giving up a 3 pick. Tyrese Maxey is a young player, and he's a dynamic player. Wouldn't you? Jared McCain, before the injury, looked like he had a future. You're going to give away a future core like that to just try once again to chase a championship for Embiid? That makes no sense.
Bottom line, I'm going to do some math. Sometimes we do math on this show, Marcus. We do some math. Okay, so a healthy Joel Embiid plus Tyrese Maxey plus Kevin Durant next year equals what in the Eastern Conference?
I would say championship. Yeah, but the main factor is Joel Embiid being healthy.
Yes.
Like, I don't even think you have to add Kevin Durant. I think you have to start there. Like, you can't just jump and say let's get this guy. You have a great core.
But that's not really optional, right? Like, is that even?
Just starting with a healthy Joel Embiid, I'm out of the room. I just walked out. Just start with that part. That has never happened before. You got to write that in pencil, and it'll be erased before you finish writing it. Like that, he's never healthy. The franchise has to accept where they are with him and look at going forward and sort of drag him along. This is almost late 90s Knicks with Patrick Ewing, where Patrick Ewing there was not much gas left in the tank. So they got Sprewell, they got Houston, they got Larry Johnson. They tried to just build a team where he's just doesn't have to be the centerpiece. The same thing has to be done in Philadelphia. Giving up that 3 pick makes no sense.
All right, we'll see if that's what winds up happening. Again, all eyes are going to be on Giannis. All eyes are going to be on KD and other big-name stars once we get to free agency. In the meantime, we got game 1
last night. And he said something, Stephen A., that I think will make you smile or maybe frown. We'll see. Getting into Giannis next. So, after Shams reported that Giannis is exploring options outside of Milwaukee, the Greek Freak's future still undecided. Since being drafted by the Bucks in 2013, Giannis has gained quite the resume, winning a title, Finals MVP, regular season MVP twice. So Giannis took to Twitter to have some fun answering fan questions. He said his favorite city to play in on the road is New York, and Florida cities make him the most happy to visit. Okay, Marcus, I'll start with you. I co-sign on this. My favorite place to work is New York because you're all here, and Florida cities also make me the happiest. So I'm with him. Are these tweets something or nothing?
I would say nothing. As a player, the Garden in New York always was my favorite place to play. Like the energy you get when playing in New York and playing in the Garden is just literally unmatched, right? And being a guy that's in Milwaukee, when I'm talking about Giannis, when you get to Florida and you get out, you get off the plane and it's sunny and you're like, man, I can see myself here. Which begs the question. I feel like Miami is the spot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a spot.
Reading deeply into this answer, ask me anything.
No, nothing bad. Go ahead, Mom. Go ahead, go ahead.
We know you are a big fan of Florida. I also think this is nothing. I think when you talk to most NBA players, the three cities they mention, New York, Miami, and LA, especially to Marcus's point, if you're coming from a small market. And I just think this was engaging. Now, I am fully aware that Giannis was probably smirked when he was answering these questions and was like, this is going to get him going. Because, yeah, it is. But I also think if there is any truth to New York, I don't know what the Knicks' flexibility is. They obviously are on an incredible run this year. But I think you got to look at Brooklyn as like a piece of this conversation. Now, I don't know how quickly they would be prepared to win. And I think winning is a big piece of whatever Giannis is going to do next. But if he can get on board with the timeline.
Yeah. The Heat need a superstar, too. Stephen A.?
Both of you are wrong.
Oh.
You're wrong.
Oh.
This is something, and let me tell you why it's something. Because if you talk to members of the New York Knicks, they certainly believe they have a possibility. And they believe they have a possibility for one reason and one reason alone. They think it's possible that Giannis will say he wants to be in New York. That's why. Because when you have a superstar of his magnitude, obviously, even though he has 2 years left on his deal plus a player option, if he makes it clear that he doesn't want to be a part of an organization, that's not a location you're going to move him to. And because that's the reality, you'll probably need a third team if it were to happen. Because of the numbers involved and the players that the New York Knicks would give up wouldn't be enough, because what players would be enough for Giannis? But in the end, if this superstar, and he is a superstar, if this brother says, I want to be traded to the New York Knicks, and he tells Milwaukee that, and Milwaukee gets on the phone and tries to work out a deal with the New York Knicks, it most certainly could be done under those circumstances. Those are the only circumstances it could happen. It can't be where they competing against a bunch of people. No, it has to be Giannis like, I want to go there. And they believe it's possible he may say that.
What about the Heat?
So to me, it leaves it open. Well,
what
of
about
course.
the Nets?
The Heat is,
are those possible?
Well, not the Nets. The Nets.
Why?
I got to disagree, right? I think the Nets can possibly be there.
Giannis says it.
But I don't. No, it's not Giannis.
That's what I'm talking about. What Giannis gonna say?
It's
if Giannis coming to New York, he ain't going to Brooklyn.
So is Milwaukee. What if they don't want the assets that New York coming up with? What if they want to blow it up and start it all over?
Every manager, every equipment manager, the custodial workers, the security guard and security is always good to me. I love them. I love all them brothers. Damn it, I'd give up myself for Giannis to be in New York if it mattered. I mean, I don't give a damn what it is. Giannis.
So it's not about championships.
Giannis in New York.
So is it about championships or is it about Giannis?
July.
No. I'm saying to you, Giannis will come and win one.
We need June to happen.
A couple weeks ago,
say with your chest.
I'm going to say Miami.
Yep.
Like I love Miami. Yep. I love the fit. I love the style. I think he can get other guys to come out there. And actually, I think Pat Riley might have to take a little step down because you're getting a guy like that. So now he builds it around him. No,
Monica's very upset.
But then that kind of puts you in a position where if you get Bam to go to Milwaukee, it's something that tightens it now that Milwaukee don't feel like they left out with nothing.
You just said you're going to have to give up so much to get this guy. That's going to be Milwaukee South.
Bam,
there's nothing
you
around.
Get Bam, you do some stuff with Tyler Hero. No, you take Bam out.
You trade Bam, okay.
You take Bam to Milwaukee, maybe Tyler Hero. Now we don't have to start all the way over if I'm Milwaukee. Now, maybe we don't have to start at the bottom and try to do what OKC do because everybody can't do that.
But Miami now just looks like the same team he just left in Milwaukee in Miami.
Every team is going to look like that because they have to.
But they have to.
No, not every team. Golden State won't look the same. Like,
Talk to me.
But who goes
Giannis is 30 years old. He's a walking 30 points on 12 rebounds on 60% shooting from the field. He needs a paint to roam. He is one of the most relentless at the rim, and he needs shooting. And to me, that's what they bet on in Milwaukee, which is great, but also the defense took a step back by adding Dame and losing Drew. In Golden State, you're tag teaming. The only issue I have, but at first, like, you're tag teaming with the greatest shooter of all time. Like, they had an issue with size on the interior, but they also like to play small ball, and now you can use him as a roamer, a switcher defensively. Like, if I see Steph and Giannis, that is a match made in heaven, basketball heaven to me. So, I'm looking at the circumstance. The only issue I have is that, the timelines. He's 30 years old. Steph is like 34, 35.
No, he's older than that. I think
exactly.
37.
He wants to, I think finding a place to win a championship surrounded by shooting, that's number one.
I'm staying out the West. If I'm honest,
I'm staying out the West.
That's an interesting thought.
I'm going to the East
that's
where
fair.
I can continue to build.
I lied.
Brings us back to New York.
I feel like, well, but for the league, you want him in a big market.
Yeah.
You want him in a big market. You want him somewhere where his personality, everything else about him can shine along with the winning. And by the way, why don't we ever talk about Jokic this way? Why aren't we talking about Jokic
Because
in the same
Jokic
light?
tolerates
Because
us.
he
It just
but it's
happens to be
different.
great at basketball.
One guy is like, we assume Giannis wants to chase rings.
You know
we
why?
don't say it about Jokic.
Because we haven't seen the cycle the way we've seen the cycle in Milwaukee. Giannis said, I want to win a championship. And what do? They changed multiple coaches. They added multiple players. They put their chips on the table. And now you see that exhausted a lot of options. I don't think Denver is there on the process, even though they made a lot of changes in the season. They're not fully there yet.
Yeah. Steph is 37, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, he's...
Thought he was younger.
No,
Be
yeah.
happy with me, Steph.
Well, he plays like he's 33 or 34. Look, the bottom line of it is this. If indeed his goal is to win a championship in wherever it is that he goes next, one thing that was said at this table makes a lot of sense to me. Stay in the East.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at the way the lottery went.
Yep.
Like the West is going to be brutal. The East is going to be the place that you try and get it done. Now Milwaukee is going to have some say in where they're willing to send him, and I'm going to circle it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation. If the Knicks lose to Indiana, are the Knicks going to make a play for Giannis?
They'll have conversations. There's no doubt in my mind you have conversations, but it's the cost.
Yes.
What it cost. They've already gutted some of their roster to make the changes they made. You cannot keep doing that and thinking you can contend for a championship.
Especially the next year, like after you just made big trades. I don't see that.
But it won't. They're not going to stay. It won't lay out. They'll be in the conversation.
I don't
have to be.
I don't think this puts him in a position to win right now. But if he can give it a few years, you also can't sleep on Brooklyn. The sides are in as owners in terms of if they can build it out.
That's why the New York
it depends
thing
on how
isn't just one
quickly
team.
he wants to win.
All right, let me leave it there for the moment. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does. When the NBA Finals are over, we become Giannis Central, I think, as far as the end.
Let's get right into it. We already did the interviews for Steph, for Jimmy, for Draymond. I did those very intensive, very deep. You hear them talk for minutes on end. Please find those videos on the channel. I don't want to waste the time here for you guys. They give you high level. Steph was like bummed it was hurt. I probably could have played game 6. I was trending the right way. And the roster management is not my job. Butler was stoked to be here. Loved playing with the Warriors. Everyone's is super selfless. This offseason, I'm going to get to know my teammates better. It'll make me a better player. Draymond, sucks that we have Steph, but you can't whine. We won the championship when Irving and Kevin Love was hurt. Now it was our turn to have no luck. Steph got hurt. I would play center again if I have to, but we have to look at roster management. Now, this takes us to Buddy Hield. I'm not going to play what he says. We're going to look at it right here. Buddy said, and I completely agree, when you look at him, he looked like he was having fun on the court. This is the happiest I've ever been playing basketball. I tell guys, man, the season went by so fast because that's how much fun I had. There was a lot of joy being around Steve and this group, the players, and the training staff. They all made me feel welcome. And you saw that in the way that he played, especially Game 7, Buddy Hield against the Rockets. 30 points, I want to say 9 threes. Let's go. He played in all regular 82 season games, folks. That is next level for a player like that. All 12 playoff games, some starting, some off the bench. He eclipsed 200 made threes for the 7th straight season, and he has more threes the past, I want to say it was like 5 seasons, than Steph Curry. 33 points, 9 3-pointers, Game 7 against the Rockets. And he started playing defense. There was a point in the middle of the season when he wasn't playing defense, and we saw on the court, Draymond yelled at Buddy. He got ripped out of the game. He was playing active hands, good defense at the end of the season. Again, you look at his stats, from 3-point, 41%. A bit lower than actually he normally does in the season. 2 to 7 per game shooting. How many threes he take this season? 549. So a healthy sample size, but only shooting 41% from 3, which is interesting. Not ideal. Here it says 37%. I don't know what happened there. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Duh. I apologize, folks. Let's go back. He shot 37% from 3, not 41%, which is still a bit lower than what he normally does. He shot 549 from 3. He shot 41% from the field. We don't really see him take mid-range too much. He can get to the rim, but he's really trying to take those threes. You look at his all-around game. His assists were down. His blocks were on average. His rebounds were about on average 3.2, 3 seasons in a row. That's tough to hit the same number. Points, 11.1. Realistically, he needed more points. He probably needed to be closer to 15 points a game, especially that early part of the season. We remember what he did. He was on a historic run the first 5 games, and then he got so cold, he got yanked. It was rough. The hottest, coldest player, but towards the end of the season, he really stepped up and played well. For the Warriors to be successful consistently and not be in such close games, he probably needs 15 to 18 points to really help out Steph and those players. But all in all, a success, folks. And when you look at what his contract is, where is it? You look at line number 6, he's making $8 million. $8 million player, 9 threes in Game 7, 33 points. I will take that. I will take those stats for a bench player, semi-starter for $8 million a year. Hopefully he can be more consistent next year, and I expect him to be back. Now that takes you to GP2. After that trade, we all got together and said, this is the time. We had to start winning and throw everything else out the window. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for everyone else in this room, and more or less do it for Steph and Dre. However many years they have left, let's not waste it. I like what he said there. And Payton, folks, had a very up and down season. Injuries really hindered him again. He played more games this season than he has in quite a long time, since 21-22, played 62 games. So he was relatively healthy throughout. His shooting, he got 6.5 points per game. His threes are not his high point, as we know, 32%. But he does make a casual, big time 3, a corner 3 every now and then. But he's really there for his defense. Less than a steal a game. Need the glove junior to get more than that. He's always been a decent rebounder, 3 rebounds a game, 57% from the field. He does do a nice job finishing at the rim from time to time. But I like that he was healthy. He played 62 games this season. That is not normal. 400 points, second most he's ever had in one season in his career. Again, you look at Payton, look at line number 4, $9.1 million. He is now a free agent outright. Outright, folks. Free agent outright. Look right here, Gary Payton II. He is a free agent outright. Will the Warriors re-sign him? That is the question. I think if they can get him for $6 to $8 million, they will. But he'll probably get $10 to $20 million on the open market for a player who is 6'2", 195, 33, good defense, good teammate, good role player. I think a team that is competing for a championship will try to bring him in. But the Warriors, if they can get him cheap, again, they don't have a lot of wiggle room with the contracts. They will want to bring him back. He's such a great person in the locker room and a good player on the court. TJD, roller coaster of a season for him. Started, went to the bench. A lot of coaches did not play. Against the Wolves, showed he can play. We were winning, and I'm a team player. That's just how I am. I just worked on my game and stayed ready, and then getting the ability to play in the playoffs, I thought was a really cool experience. I play with confidence that I've just got to continue into next year. He's got to be able to shoot. Do I have TJD here? I don't. 1 second, folks. Let's get TJD. He's got to be able to shoot because in this NBA, you have to be not just a defender, a rebounder. You got to be able to shoot and score. And Trace Jackson Davis said it was something he was working on between year 1 to year 2. We didn't see it at all. Did not see this at all. You played 62 games. 60 plus games in your first 2 years is great. As a 57th pick in the draft is massive. Points were down. Again, wasn't getting as many minutes. That he was at the start of the season, but still only a minute less than he was playing his rookie year. Did not take any threes. Like, that's got to develop to help open up the offense like Draymond. His free throw percentage has to get much better. Look at that. His rebounding was right on par, 5 a game. Assist, nice job with the pick and roll. Offensive rebounds, 2 a game, so he's helping on the boards. So all in all, for a sophomore year, it was okay. Wasn't anything to go call about. Again, he did get benched. He is only making, folks, again, he's not a free agent. You look at number 10, he's making 1.8 million this year. Next year he'll make 2.2, and then he'll make 2.4. He's on year 2 of 4 of a rookie deal, so he'll be with us unless he's a part of a trade, and it would have to be a filler contract because he's really not making a lot of money. That a trade would be a big talking point. Looney, free agent, up and down season for him. I always want to be here. He's been there for 10 years. A decade with one team is impressive. This is where I was drafted. I've been here a long time. I hope the feeling is mutual, but it's the NBA. Things always change, especially when you don't win it all. I'm just ready for whatever. You look at Looney. Again, this was his worst career. It felt like his worst season. It felt like in his career. You look at his points, 4.5 have gone down some from 3 years ago. Rebounding is always good, 6.1, a little bit lower than his career average. Or his career average is actually 5.7, so a bit higher. But what he did in the 22-23 season, again, not starting as much, not playing as much. 15 minutes a game is the lowest he's had since 2017, 2018. No, sorry, 2019, 2020. But yeah, only played 20 games. He was hurt. But still played 76 games, even though he was really not in the lineup. You saw Draymond, you saw Quinton Post take over. His field goal percentage needs to get better. Again, he talked about shooting threes and developing a shot. He didn't even do that. He took he made 2 of 5 from 3 for the season. If he wants to be a longevity player, we need that type of player at the stretch 5. His contract is up again, folks. He was making Kevon Looney. Where are you at? Number 5, $9 million. Bird writes he's a free agent outright. When you look at right here, I think he probably gets 10 to 20 million open market. I don't like mid-level veterans exception type of vibe. I don't know if the Warriors go ahead and match that. I think they can try to get some value somewhere else, or maybe they think Quinton Post will make the step and they can use that player somewhere else. And then, of course, JK, ups and down, roller coasters. We talked about that. I can't find anything from Pajemski, but just because we're talking about it, I mean, his season was a roller coaster. Started off so bad. By the end of the season, he really picked it up. You look at how many games he played, 64. He had that injury or shoulder around, and when he came back, that's when he did really good. Field goal percentage was a bit lower than rookie year. 3-point percentage was lower. Again, his start of the season was pretty dang bad. If I showed you the stats beginning and the end of the season, you would really see it. Points, 11.7, which is a bit higher, but he really faded in the playoffs, wasn't doing much, if anything. And he's supposed to be the point guard of the future. Joe Lacob likes that. Backup point guard Steph Curry. And it really felt like when Curry went out in the playoffs, he was not able to step into that role. Looney, who was re-signed before the start of the season, is making $12 million per year. Had a great regular season. Again, beginning of the season, it felt like Kerr would play him to start, and then he would never see minutes again. By the end of the season, he was trusted. In the playoffs, he really faded and was not even a part of the lineup anymore. They went Buddy Hield. But he had 9.8 points in the regular season. There was a lot of times when he was slashing, made some big key threes. You look at his field goal percentage, 43%, a bit below where his career normal is. 37%, career high. If he can continue that, get that closer to 40, he'll have a place starting on this team or as a 6th, 7th man off the bench. And again, Moody will be here for the next 2 years. He is not a free agent. They have him projected starting with Brandon next year. And you look at Moody, line 8. His contract kicks in starting next year for 3 years, 12, 13, 13. And Brandon's now moving into year 3. He's only making $3 million next year, then $5 million the following year. So very friendly team deals for players who were contributors all season and kind of faded in the playoffs. And during the offseason,
or JK. Like, I was hoping for this guy to be that certified third option and hopefully somebody that could have worked next to Jimmy Butler and next to Draymond Green and next to Steph Curry. That didn't all the way materialize, and now his future with Golden State is uncertain, and his price tag for NBA teams looking to sign him in free agency has definitely gone down. Mike Dunleavy continued with this. He said, for that reason, we'll try to bring him back. All the skill sets that he provides that he said earlier. But you've got to have those conversations. You've got to figure it out. It's a two-way street in terms of creating and getting a new contract and all that. So we'll see where it goes. The next question that we have to ask ourselves, though, does Kuminga want to come back at all himself? Like, with that uncertainty around his spot in the rotation and him in the starting lineup, him out of the starting lineup, him getting DNPs in the playoffs, would he want to come back to a situation like that? That's what we have to ask ourselves. What we do know is that the ownership of this Golden State Warriors franchise is in love with Jonathan Kuminga, and we saw that just very recently for the Golden State Valkyries' first game of their WNBA history. Jonathan Kuminga was sitting next to Joe Lacob courtside at that Valkyries game. And I know a lot of Warriors fans who aren't exactly the most keen on bringing back Kuminga next year didn't exactly love this. We know the long history between Lacob and Kuminga and how influential Lacob was in drafting and keeping Kuminga over all this time. Remember the Marcus Thompson, the second article from The Athletic detailing what Golden State's near future will be. He says that Lacob's loyalty to Kuminga is well known. He was influential in drafting him in 2021, and it's nearly impossible to believe that Lacob would let Kuminga sign an offer sheet elsewhere and walk away for nothing. A reunion is still on the table, but both sides are expected to explore sign and trade scenarios, which would open up the market and theoretically give Kuminga the contract and fresh start that he wants. And Golden State obviously wants to. They believe that they need more positional size across the board, and I don't know if Kuminga is giving that to them at this point. Anthony Slater with this as well about Kuminga's side of things. He said, I think it boils down to Jonathan Kuminga wants to and believes he's ready for a 25 to 30 minute per night role and as an every night wing in this league, and a featured offensive role at that as well. And they have been unwilling to give him that at various times in his career. That's 100% true. Steve Kerr has long kind of been up in the air about whether or not Jonathan Kuminga fits in this Warriors puzzle. So, that's something that we have to think about as well. Yes, Jonathan Kuminga can be a good player, but does he fit in Golden State's system? I don't think we've seen that to this point. And if I had to bet, I don't think Jonathan Kuminga wants to find out whether or not he's going to fit in this Golden State Warriors roster in year 4 or in year 5. Excuse me. That's what's going to be. If I had to bet, Kuminga's going to sign an offer sheet elsewhere. Probably something, I know Golden State can give him the most money technically, but he'll probably sign something for more than what Golden State's willing to offer at this point. It's going to be up to Golden State as to whether or not they'll be willing to match that and try to negotiate some sign and trade deal thereafter. Draymond Green knows he wants Jonathan Kuminga back, and he knows that Jonathan Kuminga is going to get a big-time payday, at least according to him. He said, one thing's for certain. I said this in my exit interview, whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get paid. And he's going to have a very bright future. So I don't think he has anything to worry about. Everyone knows what he's capable of. He will get paid here or he will get paid somewhere else. I don't know if I'm 100% in agreement with Draymond as to he's getting the bag no matter what. I'm not too sure as to what Jonathan Kuminga's free agency market will look like at this point. He was getting DNPs in the playoffs. And yes, he showed flashes in that Minnesota series in the second round. But Steph Curry wasn't out there on the floor, and clearly we know that his fit alongside 30 has not been the best. Is he going to get 25 to 30 million in free agency? I'd be hard-pressed to believe so. A lot of NBA teams don't have a lot of money this offseason. I could see something, closer to the 20 to 25 rather than a 25 to 30 for Kuminga. Look, is he talented? Absolutely. He has super athleticism. He can create his own offense. He's a versatile player due to his size and frame. But is he a winner? I'm not so sure. He couldn't play next to the easiest teammate of all time to play with in Stephen Curry. Look, next we're going to explore some Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade ideas because that seems like the most likely route that Golden State is going to go down at this point. So Bleacher Report gave us 3 big ideas for Kuminga to go elsewhere and some assets to come back to Golden State. We'll come into that in a moment, but first I got to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, and that's Prize Picks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports platform because it's daily fantasy made easy. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup, 2 to 6 players, and just pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. I'm not joking. Turn $1 into 2 racks, just like that. And PrizePicks always wants to make it easy for you guys to win that money. Like Taco Tuesday, a deal where they discount players' stat projections every Tuesday. It's not going to be something easy that gets done between one team and another because there's so many stipulations around it with him being a restricted free agent. The details are as follows. The max salary that Jonathan Kuminga can earn is $38.7 million. The incoming salary, naturally, for any team that is trading for him and giving him that contract is going to be 100% of the pie. But Golden State, on the other hand, when they send him out in the trade, the money that they will be losing or sending out in the deal will only be 50% of the 100% contract that the next team opens up and gives him. Now, after that all goes down, those numbers are applied, you have to match salary once again. So Golden State might have to end up giving away some more assets. And obviously, Jonathan Kuminga can be aggregated with other contracts as well, so you can include more players to go up there and match that salary. It would kind of not make any sense if that wasn't the case. So let's get into it. First trade idea. And it's a familiar name to Golden State fans. Yes, we're trading for Nikola Vucevic. Bleacher Report is, by the way, not me. Vucevic, Lonzo Ball, and a 2029 top 5 protected first-round pick for just Jonathan Kuminga. Depending on what type of deal that Chicago will be willing to give him, this could absolutely work out. Vucevic makes about $20 million. I believe Lonzo makes a little bit less than that. And I think this deal could work out for Golden State. And, I mean, listen, this is a guy in Vooch that we've been talking about for a long time, a guy who they decided not to go after at the 2025 NBA trade deadline. Now he comes over. I believe it's going to be an expiring deal as well in 2025, 2026. So a buy low opportunity, somebody who spaces the floor for Golden State, can rebound the heck out of the basketball. He's not going to be a great defender. Look, that is plain and simple. He is not going to be a good defender by any means, but he is going to provide offense in the front court. Golden State doesn't have that. Rebounding in the front court. Golden State doesn't have that. A good post player. I don't really know if Golden State has that outside of like Jimmy Butler. And he provides a lot more pluses to me personally than the negatives on the defensive end. Now, if you want to talk about the defensive end, we can talk about Lonzo Ball, who is going to come over here in this deal and be instant impact point of attack defender if he can stay healthy, of course. Obviously, we know that Lonzo's injury history is so unfortunate, and he hasn't been able to stay out there on the floor for large stretches in his NBA career to this point. But at 27 years old, I feel like if this is just being thrown in the deal, absolutely worth taking a flyer on, and somebody who's shot 40% from three-point range in his career as well. Let's talk about the second trade that Bleacher Report conjured up for Golden State. And this one, it's a doozy. Golden State sends out, and I want to get that prefaced first. Golden State sends out Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and Trace Jackson Davis, as well as the remaining selections that they would be willing to get in the 2030 draft, as they do have that trade going with the Wizards. Anything after pick 20 will go to Washington. Now, anything inside 1 through 20 would be heading to Sacramento. Golden State gets back for all those players Corey Kispert, Jonas Valanciunas, and a 2031 top 5 protected first from the Washington Wizards. Hopefully by then the Wizards are a little competitive and that pick won't be in the top 5. Corey Kispert, though, look, this is a player on the wing that I like a lot. He's not the biggest guy overall, 6'6" frame, but 224 pounds, absolutely thick, absolutely can use his body to create space and can get his own offense, a good three-point shooter, only 26 years old, makes a lot of good reads with the basketball. Just somebody who I think would overall fit very, very well in this Warriors lineup, and just somebody who I think is going to be a bigger plus and accrue to more winning than Jonathan Kuminga does with Kispert's skill set. And then you pick up Jonas Valanciunas as well, another player who I was very big on going out there and pursuing at the 2025 trade deadline. He gets traded from Washington to Sacramento, and look, I don't know if Sacramento's going to want to have him.
Giannis Antetokounmpo reportedly intrigued by playing with Stephen Curry and Warriors. As Giannis Antetokounmpo prepares to meet with the Milwaukee Bucks this week, discussion is already prominent on where his future may lie and whether the Golden State Warriors could trade for the 2x MVP. As ESPN's Brian Windhorst mentioned on Friday's episode of Get Up, the Warriors won't win a bidding war for Antetokounmpo, but could still be an option if the 30-year-old declares a strong desire to end up in the Bay. While that's not expected to happen imminently, there are already rumblings that Antetokounmpo may have interest in teaming with Stephen Curry in the search for a second NBA championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo is reportedly intrigued by playing with Stephen Curry and the Warriors. On the latest episode of Real Ones, as part of the Ringer's NBA show, Logan Murdoch, Howard Beck, and Sam Amick brought up Curry's All-Star Weekend party and the fact Antetokounmpo was the only non-Warrior player to attend. Murdoch then added a glint of hope for Golden State fans who want to Antetokounmpo in the Bay, suggesting that the Greek freak has been intrigued by the idea. There was a feeling that Giannis was very, very intrigued by the idea of one day being a teammate of Steph Curry's. There was at least a feeling that Giannis wanted to play with Steph and be teammates with him, Murdoch said. The issue for the Warriors is that Antetokounmpo still has 2 years left on his contract, giving the Bucks real leverage in any negotiations that may take place if their superstar were to request a trade. Even if Antetokounmpo were to want a move to Golden State specifically, rival teams won't necessarily be put off knowing they'll get him for at least the next 2 seasons. Antetokounmpo also doesn't appear like the type of person who will hold out and refuse to play for a team if that's not the desired place he wants to go. It's a contrasting situation to that of former Warrior Kevin Durant this offseason. With the 2x Finals MVP set to be on an expiring contract, teams are going to be far less inclined to trade significant assets if they view it only as a one-year rental before Durant hits free agency. Golden State themselves have already gone through that, having balked at reacquiring Durant in February when the 36-year-old made it known he didn't want to be moved from the Phoenix Suns mid-season. And you, fan, what do you think about Antetokounmpo's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.